What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to give you a quick overview of some of the data points, what really moved it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. Starting off, SoFi did close in the green, 0.47%, had a high of $8.76. Absolutely amazing stuff. So if someone was to have told me yesterday that CPI was going to come in both month over month and also year over year higher than anticipated, and also initial jobless claims is going to come in higher, and escalation coming from the Middle East, and you tell me that SoFi is going to close green, I'd say you're lying. But SoFi was able to do all of that and more. So yeah, like I said, a lot of negative data coming out, a lot of Fed speakers as well coming out at the same time saying that they're essentially comfortable holding rates, so not really changing anything for this upcoming Fed meeting. But despite all of that, SoFi just said F it and decided to go up. And that was largely because of this right over here. A lot of big transactions on the secondary market, and all of them are buys, every single one of them. Couple big ones as well, so 9.76 million first thing, 2.3, but straight out the gate, a lot of buying. So yeah, essentially good stuff. The only thing that was really trying to drag it down a little bit was the algorithmic trading, and that's just kind of piggybacking off of a lot of that negative data. But like I said, just the overwhelming amount of buying did kind of offset that, as well as this right here. Shorts did return some shares, 356,000. 16.93% of the free float is being shorted. It works out to be 177.09 million shares overall are being shorted, and that does equate to $1.52 billion worth. So just over this last little bit, roughly last month, shorts have lost a lot of money, roughly 300 million at the very bare minimum. So yeah, definitely pretty interesting stuff. You do see some signs of manipulation once again, cost to borrow minimum being negative, so negative 0.2. Once again, it's not that big of a deal because that is a annual rate, but it's just more so the principle. Today there was no actual news itself, no SEC filings, nothing like that. A lot of bullish articles are coming out. One article in particular that I wanted to share with you, and that was this right here. So it kind of just brings up the fact that SoFi is among the small handful of stocks that is able to really defy the Jim Cramer curse. So for those of you that remember, I think it was around 3 weeks ago, something like that, Cramer said that he is rather bullish on SoFi. So once again, inverse Cramer kind of happens, and normally you see at least 9 times out of 10 the stock pull back, but in SoFi's case, it's able to really defy the curse. So there's a whole article just about that. Kind of found that rather comical all in all. But moving over to options, just to give you guys a quick overview of that. So 8.65 million in calls, 1.35 million in puts. A lot of money is getting into SoFi through options. 46% of all the options being done today were bearish though. And on a side note, I did under Financial Journey, one of my other channels, I put out a tutorial on volatility and what that does equate to for options. So if you guys are interested, highly recommend you guys taking a look at that. But as SoFi was starting to run up, there was between 9 and 9:05, 717,000 in options being done during this time period. And as I've done, I like to share that with you guys. So generally, fairly bullish. It was a multi-leg transaction, but still, once again, a lot of $8. And it looks like for October the 11th, there was one right here, 850, October the 18th. So a lot of this is just more short-term kind of stuff. But of the call options that are being purchased, you do see a lot of optimism. So a lot of consensus for it to be above $9, and incorporating their earnings, you see $10. Abnormal amount, so 12,000 there. And so yeah, do you think it will be double digits by their earnings or post earnings, or do you think it's going to kind of pull back? On the flip side, looking at puts, you do see a consensus for it to be sub 850, so very much more upside is anticipated. And with tomorrow being Friday, this is a quick overview of the open interest. So 15,000 at that 8, 37,000 at that 850, and then 34,000 at that 9. So if SoFi is able to close above 850, then definitely you'll see a very similar bump up in the stock price, similar to last Friday when market makers were starting to cut out early, shorts gave up, and it was a win-win for SoFi. But hopefully this level of buying coming from entities do continue, but with it closing at $8.63, it is trading between this R1 and this R2. So $8.39 is that strong support. $8.81 is that next strong resistance / target. So like I said, I think by come this Friday, so tomorrow, you could easily see if there is a nice continuation and good data tomorrow around that $9 range, assuming it gets above this R2. So yeah, I think bigger and better things are coming. And generally, I think a lot of people just focus so much on monetary policy, what is happening on a day-to-day basis. But for the most part, if you take a step back, like what reasons is there for things to go down? Like every data point coming out is extremely bullish and all signaling that like the market is strong. So unless there is some more escalation coming from the Middle East, like I don't really see any reason why for any stock in the market to go down. So again, that's just more of a broader context. But on the actual chart itself, higher percentile, you see stochastic at 84. So once again, it is rather overbought. So the first sign of weakness, you could see a similar kind of scenario, but honestly, it did kind of maintain having higher highs and higher lows. So the technicals are looking fairly good. A number of retail investors are getting in. No new analyst ratings, nothing like that. So literally it's just piggybacking off the broader market, and that's good enough for me. So let me know you guys' thoughts on SoFi. Give yourself a shout out. Have you been buying? Have you been selling? Do you guys think that post earnings is going to have a squeeze, or do you think, what's your guys' thought on that? I know for a short squeeze to happen, everything has to line up perfectly, but the broader market, the data points are good. SoFi hopefully will have kick-ass earnings coming up, and then yeah, shorts will lose a little bit more than that, kind of around 300 to maybe 400 mil. So yeah, what's your guys' thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. But one final thing I just wanted to share with you, I did just launch a new level for my YouTube membership. So if you guys like my coverage of SoFi and other stocks, consider joining as a member. I greatly appreciate that. But with all that said, appreciate all of you guys watching.